It is crucial to maintain a healthy lifestyle, including a balanced diet, regular exercise, and proper hydration, while also consulting with healthcare professionals for personalized advice and early detection of any potential kidney problems. Insufficient water intake. Not drinking enough water can lead to dehydration and potentially contribute to kidney damage. Excessive alcohol consumption. Alcohol can have a detrimental effect on the kidneys, especially when consumed in large quantities over an extended period. Smoking. Smoking can impair kidney function and increase the risk of kidney disease. High salt intake. Consuming a diet high in sodium, salt, can increase blood pressure and strain the kidneys. Chronic use of pain medications. Overuse or prolonged use of certain pain medications, such as nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, can harm the kidneys. Uncontrolled diabetes. Poorly managed diabetes can lead to kidney damage over time. High blood pressure. Uncontrolled or poorly managed high blood pressure can contribute to kidney disease. Obesity. Excess weight and obesity can increase the risk of developing kidney problems. Excessive protein consumption. Consuming an excessive amount of protein, particularly animal protein, can put strain on the kidneys. Lack of physical activity. Leading a sedentary lifestyle can contribute to obesity, high blood pressure, and other risk factors for kidney damage. Untreated urinary tract infections, UTIs. Neglecting to treat UTIs promptly can allow bacteria to spread to the kidneys, potentially leading to kidney infections and damage. Regularly holding in urine. Delaying urination frequently can increase the risk of urinary tract infections and potentially harm the kidneys. Excessive caffeine consumption. Consuming large amounts of caffeine can raise blood pressure and potentially strain the kidneys. Chronic dehydration. Failing to maintain adequate hydration levels over time can affect kidney function. Excessive sugar intake. Consuming high amounts of sugar, particularly in the form of sugary beverages, may increase the risk of kidney damage. Regularly consuming processed foods. Processed foods often contain high levels of sodium, preservatives, and additives that can be detrimental to kidney health. Lack of sleep. Chronic sleep deprivation or poor sleep patterns can contribute to the development or progression of kidney disease. Overconsumption of carbonated beverages. Regularly consuming carbonated drinks, including soda and other fizzy beverages, may increase the risk of kidney damage. Excessive protein supplements. Unnecessary or excessive use of protein supplements can strain the kidneys. Ignoring the urge to defecate. Delaying bowel movements for prolonged periods can lead to pressure on the kidneys. Regularly consuming high-fat foods. A diet high in saturated and trans fats can contribute to the development of kidney problems. Ignoring regular exercise. Regular physical activity helps maintain overall health, including kidney function. Using unregulated herbal supplements. Some herbal supplements may have potential adverse effects on kidney function, especially if their quality and safety are not guaranteed. Regularly consuming artificial sweeteners. Certain artificial sweeteners, when consumed excessively, have been associated with negative effects on kidney health. Excessive consumption of red meat. Consuming excessive amounts of red meat can strain the kidneys due to the high protein and fat content. Chronic stress. Long-term stress can contribute to various health problems, including kidney damage. Regularly consuming high phosphorus foods. Foods high in phosphorus, such as processed meats and carbonated beverages, may adversely affect kidney health when consumed in excess. Chronic sleep apnea. Untreated sleep apnea has been linked to an increased risk of kidney disease. Regularly consuming foods with high oxalate content. Certain foods high in oxalates, such as spinach, rhubarb, and beets, can contribute to the formation of kidney stones in susceptible individuals. Genetic factors and family history. A family history of kidney disease or genetic predisposition can increase the risk of kidney damage. Insufficient water intake, excessive alcohol consumption. High salt intake. Chronic use of pain medications. Uncontrolled diabetes. High blood pressure. Obesity. Excessive protein consumption. Lack of physical activity. Ignoring urinary tract infections, UTIs, regularly holding in urine. Excessive caffeine consumption. Chronic dehydration. Excessive sugar intake. Regularly consuming processed foods. Lack of sleep. overconsumption of carbonated beverages, excessive protein supplements, ignoring the urge to defecate, regularly consuming high-fat foods, ignoring regular exercise, using unregulated herbal supplements, regularly consuming artificial sweeteners, excessive consumption of red meat, chronic stress, regularly consuming high-phosphorus foods, chronic sleep apnea, regularly consuming foods with high oxalate content, genetic factors and family history, excessive consumption of dairy products, chronic use of non-prescription anti-inflammatory drugs, regularly consuming high-potassium foods, overconsumption of energy drinks, regularly consuming foods with high oxalate content, chronic use of certain antibiotics, excessive use of certain supplements, e.g., creatine, chronic use of certain antacids, consuming large amounts of artificial food additives, regularly consuming high cholesterol foods, overexposure to environmental toxins, e.g., heavy metals, frequent use of non-prescription weight loss supplements, regularly consuming processed meats, e.g., bacon, sausage, overconsumption of sugary beverages, chronic use of certain antihistamines, regularly consuming high-sodium frozen meals, frequent use of non-prescription antacids, overexposure to pesticides or herbicides, regularly consuming excessive amounts of soy products, chronic use of certain antipsychotic medications, frequent consumption of energy drinks, overconsumption of processed snacks, e.g., chips, crackers, regularly consuming foods with high uric acid content, frequent use of non-prescription decongestants, chronic use of certain diuretic medications, overexposure to industrial chemicals, e.g., solvents, regularly consuming excessive amounts of refined carbohydrates, frequent use of non-prescription cough and cold medications, chronic use of certain heartburn medications, e.g., proton pump inhibitors, overconsumption of sugary desserts and sweets, regularly consuming excessive amounts of artificial sweeteners, frequent use of non-prescription sleep aids, chronic use of certain antiviral medications, overexposure to heavy metals, e.g., lead, mercury, regularly consuming high-sodium condiments, e.g., soy sauce, frequent use of non-prescription antidiarrheal medications, chronic use of certain immunosuppressive medications, overconsumption of processed fast food, regularly consuming excessive amounts of refined oils, frequent use of non-prescription antifungal medications, chronic use of certain acne medications, overexposure to radiation, e.g., medical imaging, regularly consuming high-sodium canned foods, frequent use of non-prescription anti-anxiety medications, chronic use of certain erectile dysfunction medications, chronic use of non-prescription anti-inflammatory drugs, regularly consuming high-potassium foods, overconsumption of energy drinks, regularly consuming foods with high oxalate content, chronic use of certain antibiotics, excessive use of certain supplements, e.g., creatine, chronic use of certain antacids, consuming large amounts of artificial food additives, regularly consuming high cholesterol foods, overexposure to environmental toxins, e.g., heavy metals, frequent use of non-prescription weight loss supplements, regularly consuming processed meats, e.g., bacon, sausage, overconsumption of sugary beverages, chronic use of certain antihistamines, regularly consuming high-sodium frozen meals, frequent use of non-prescription antacids, overexposure to pesticides or herbicides, regularly consuming excessive amounts of soy products, chronic use of certain antipsychotic medications, frequent consumption of energy drinks, overconsumption of processed snacks, e.g., chips, crackers, regularly consuming foods with high uric acid content, frequent use of non-prescription decongestants, chronic use of certain diuretic medications, overexposure to industrial chemicals, e.g., solvents, regularly consuming excessive amounts of refined carbohydrates, frequent use of non-prescription cough and cold medications, chronic use of certain heartburn medications, e.g., proton pump inhibitors, overconsumption of sugary desserts and sweets, regularly consuming excessive amounts of artificial sweeteners, frequent use of non-prescription sleep aids, chronic use of certain antiviral medications, overexposure to heavy metals, e.g., lead, mercury, regularly consuming high-sodium condiments, e.g., soy sauce, frequent use of non-prescription antidiarrheal medications, chronic use of certain immunosuppressive medications, overconsumption of processed fast food, regularly consuming excessive amounts of refined oils, frequent use of non-prescription antifungal medications, chronic use of certain acne medications, overexposure to radiation, e.g., medical imaging, regularly consuming high-sodium canned foods, frequent use of non-prescription anti-anxiety medications, chronic use of certain erectile dysfunction medications, overconsumption of sugary cereals and breakfast bars, regularly consuming excessive amounts of artificial food coloring, frequent use of non-prescription laxatives, chronic use of certain chemotherapy drugs, overexposure to environmental pollutants, e.g., air pollution, regularly consuming high-sodium restaurant meals, frequent use of non-prescription acne medications, chronic use of certain anticonvulsant medications, overconsumption of high-sodium condiments, e.g., ketchup, regularly consuming excessive amounts of refined sugars, frequent use of non-prescription anti-motion sickness medications, chronic use of certain anti-inflammatory bowel disease medications, overexposure to agricultural chemicals, e.g., pesticides, regularly consuming high-sodium processed cheeses, frequent use of non-prescription allergy medications, chronic use of certain antiretroviral medications, overconsumption of high-sodium deli meats, regularly consuming excessive amounts of artificial flavorings, frequent use of non-prescription anti-nausea medications, chronic use of certain anti-malarial medications, overexposure to environmental toxins, e.g., asbestos, regularly consuming high-sodium snack foods, frequent use of non-prescription anti-diarrheal medications, chronic use of certain immunosuppressant medications, overconsumption of high-sodium salad dressings. Here are some foods that are good for kidney health. 1. Fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are low in sodium and potassium, and they are a good source of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. 1. Some good choices include apples, bananas, berries, carrots, celery, cucumbers, grapes, leafy greens, oranges, peaches, pears, peppers, potatoes, squash, and tomatoes. 2. Lean protein. Lean protein is important for maintaining muscle mass, and it can also help to lower blood pressure. 2. Some good choices include fish, chicken, beans, lentils, and tofu. 3. Whole grains. Whole grains are a good source of fiber, which can help to regulate blood sugar and cholesterol levels. 3. Some good choices include brown rice, oatmeal, quinoa, and whole wheat bread. 4. Low-fat dairy. Low-fat dairy is a good source of protein and calcium, which are important for kidney health. 4. Some good choices include milk, yogurt, and cheese. 5. Healthy fats. Healthy fats can help to protect the kidneys from damage. 5. Some good choices include olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds. Here are some foods that you should limit or avoid if you have kidney disease. 1. Salt. Salt can raise blood pressure, which can put stress on the kidneys. 2. Potassium. Too much potassium can be harmful to the kidneys. 3. Phosphorus. Too much phosphorus can also be harmful to the kidneys. 4. Processed foods. Processed foods often contain high levels of sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. 5. Alcohol. Alcohol can damage the kidneys. It is important to talk to your doctor or a registered dietitian about the best diet for your kidney health. They can help you create a plan that meets your individual needs. Here are some additional tips for improving kidney health. 1. Stay hydrated. 1. Drink plenty of water throughout the day. 2. Exercise regularly. 2. Exercise helps to keep your kidneys healthy and functioning properly. 3. Manage your blood pressure. 3. High blood pressure can damage the kidneys. 4. Control your blood sugar levels. 4. Diabetes can damage the kidneys. 5. Quit smoking. 5. Smoking can damage the kidneys. By following these tips, You can help to keep your kidneys healthy and functioning properly. When it comes to promoting kidney health, it's important to focus on a balanced diet that includes a variety of nutrient-rich foods. Here are some general dietary guidelines for supporting kidney health. Manage your protein intake. Opt for high-quality sources of protein such as lean meats, skinless poultry, fish, eggs, and plant-based proteins like legumes, tofu, and tempeh. Limit your consumption of red meats and processed meats as they can burden the kidneys. Control sodium, salt, intake. Excessive sodium can contribute to high blood pressure and fluid retention, which can strain the kidneys. Minimize your intake of processed and packaged foods, and flavor your meals with herbs, spices, lemon juice, or vinegar instead of salt. Stay hydrated. Drink an adequate amount of water throughout the day to maintain proper hydration. The amount can vary depending on factors like climate and activity level. Consult your healthcare provider for personalized recommendations. Consume healthy fats. Include sources of healthy fats in your diet, such as avocados, nuts, seeds, and olive oil. These fats provide essential nutrients and help maintain overall health. Choose whole grains. Opt for whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, whole wheat bread, and oats, which provide fiber and important nutrients. Limit phosphorus and potassium. If you have kidney disease or are on dialysis, you may need to monitor your phosphorus and potassium intake. Foods high in phosphorus include dairy products, beans, nuts, and whole grains. Potassium-rich foods include bananas, oranges, tomatoes, potatoes, and avocados. Work with a registered dietitian to create a personalized plan if you need to restrict these nutrients. Be cautious with oxalate-rich foods. If you have a history of kidney stones, it may be beneficial to moderate your intake of foods high in oxalates, such as spinach, rhubarb, beets, and certain nuts. However, oxalate intake alone does not cause kidney stone formation in most people. Limit sugary foods and beverages. High sugar foods and drinks can contribute to weight gain and increase the risk of diabetes and kidney disease. Choose whole fruits instead of fruit juices and opt for water or unsweetened beverages. Remember that individual dietary needs can vary based on your specific health conditions and requirements. It's always a good idea to consult a registered dietitian or healthcare provider for personalized advice tailored to your situation.